Hello everybody. I thought it was about time I did a chatty catch up about where I'm at in life, my decision to retire and how I'm adjusting to retired life. First of all, I thought I'd just talk about how I came to the decision to retire. It was about a year and a half ago, just over, where I suddenly thought, I don't want to exchange my time for money any longer. So that was the beginning of me processing to the point where I actually handed in my notice. And there were a few things to process. One was my actual work and letting go of it. So there was a real sense of, but what will happen when I leave? Will this continue? And this project that I've put in place, or this process. And I came to the realization that, and through talking to other people and their experiences, it could well be that everything that you've put in place gets swept aside and the next person that comes along puts something completely different in place. And you need to get reconciled with that, really. And I think that's an important part of the process. In some situations, like if you're an architect or something, it might be that your work stands the testament of time, or if you're a successful artist or author. But I think for the majority of people, it's important to get to the point that you recognise that the input that you had at that time was the aim and the benefit, and there doesn't need to be a lasting testament to your work necessarily after you leave. So I processed all that, and the other thing I had to go through was just making sure that financially we were going to be fine without my salary coming in anymore. The third thing, which I didn't really have to do much processing for, was what will I do when I retire? For me, it was part of the reason I wanted to make the decision, was because there's so many things I want to do that I didn't have time to do while I was working. Other people seem to be very preoccupied with, but what are you going to do? And offering me part-time jobs, and would I carry on as a consultant? I'm thinking, no, I want to stop working because there's all these fun things that I want to do in life. So, feeling happy with all that, I then handed my notice in mid-January, and it was a 3 months notice situation, so I left in April. So the next thing is the different phases that you go through when you retire, and I'd done a bit of research on that before Ben retired, because he retired a couple of years ago. And one of the things that repeatedly came up in different things that I was exploring is that you go through a holiday phase, or it's important to make sure you have a holiday phase when you retire. So you just allow yourself to go on holidays, have fun, and just do all the really enjoyable things in life before you kind of settle down as to what your new different purposes are. So that's definitely the phase I'm in. And we have been doing lots of hiking, which is something I really wanted to have more time to do. Been catching up with friends. That's been so replenishing. Just seeing friends that we haven't seen for ages just because I've been so busy with work, and also new friends. We've made a group of new friends through ballroom dancing, which we've been doing for the last few years, and that's something I wasn't really expecting at this time in my life, to make brand new, really good friends. Like, those kind of friends that are your life joints, that you're going to be friends forever. You don't see them for a while, but when you catch up, it's like you saw each other yesterday. And we had a really fun dinner with two of these couples last night. So the six of us just had a really fun evening. So it's so great just to have more time to do that. And spending more time with the family and the grandkids has just been really wonderful. The second aspect to this holiday phase that I think has been really important for me is to make sure I've got boundaries in place, so that other people's requests or demands don't take me away from my current goals, which is just to be free, to have fun and do whatever I want. So although I've really enjoyed spending time with the grandkids and been doing that regularly, I haven't, as some of my friends have, got into like a committed certain days a week doing childcare for those. But yeah, we're free to help out whenever we're needed, so that's been really good fun. And the third aspect of this holiday phase, which I hadn't really been expecting, is just having to reprocess my different goals and aims and dreams, and making sure that I get out of the mindset of, oh, I have to achieve this, oh, I have to accomplish this, which is a bit hardwired in, having been like working for so many years. And I have to keep reminding myself, no, I don't need to do that. So that is a bit of an adjustment. And in the process of that, it is a question of reprocessing those goals and values for the long term. So the sort of things I'm talking about in terms of reprocessing goals and values are things like yet to be fulfilled dreams. What I'm realizing is some of them could be really important dreams that I need to realize and fulfill, and other things might just be creative ideas I've had in the past and kind of mapped out and are not necessarily relevant or things that I really do want to outwork anymore. So just reprocessing those, reconsidering those. The other thing that they could be are just historical hangovers from like societal expectations, things that you feel you ought, you should, you need to do, just reprocessing all that. You know, the typical kind of transaction analysis aspect of the parent voice that you get just as you're a child growing up, and you get informed that this is how you should do things and this is what you should achieve. And then as you build up your own adult voice, reprocessing those and thinking, do I really need to? Do I want to? Do I have to? And I'm noticing that there are still a few hangovers from that I think don't really come from me and my heart and what I really want to do. So just to fill you in on some of the specific things to my goals and dreams and aims. So there's decluttering the house. At our time in life, there is a lot of stuff that is from when our kids were here and they've left home. I think we did get quite a lot of that kind of stuff decluttered. But then we're in that generation where then elderly parents die or they go into care homes and you have to clear out their houses. And there is a lot of stuff to process that you can't just throw out straight away. You have to process all the emotions from it, and why you didn't necessarily set out to think we need this piece of furniture in our house or these items. When you're presented with getting rid of them, you think, oh, actually that could be quite nice. So our house is very kind of overstocked at the moment, and we do need to edit stuff. But the adjustment that I've had to make with that, so that is still a long-term goal, well, maybe not too long-term, but I have had to adjust the time scale. So I'm not under pressure and feeling like, oh my goodness, I haven't achieved that, because I just thought, oh, when I retire, I'll be able to get that sorted. So I've had to readjust the time scale for that. The second thing that I've got myself a bit under pressure about is the gardens at our rental property. So again, I've wanted to do the garden, and I think I've mentioned this in a previous vlog, where we have had students in-house and it has a very big garden. So about 3 years ago, I had a fence put in, maybe it was 2 years ago, and there is a footpath down the side of the house, so a public footpath. So I was able to put in a gate into the fenced off area, and we don't really have a garden here. It's a kind of backyard that we've decked, and it's a container garden, and Ben looks after that. So I don't really feel that fulfilled in my sort of gardening kind of desires. And I really enjoyed doing my dad's garden when he was staying with us and when he was less able. So that's why I adopted the lower half of the garden at our rental property. And again, I just thought, when I retire, I'm going to be able to have loads of time to get it all sorted, and I'm having to adjust my expectations on the time scale for that. It gets really overwhelming at times, especially because we've been going on these long hikes and we went on a big family holiday, and then you come back and the whole thing's taken over with bindweed or something like that. So I've had to adjust my expectations for that and just, tell myself, you don't have to do it. There isn't a deadline. Nobody's expecting you to do it, and just taking the pressure off. Another thing that I've been reprocessing in terms of my goals and aims, which I've been doing for a while, is music. While I was working, I really kind of completely lost that drive and motivation for music. And it was partly because I realised that was definitely one of the things where I had these goals for my music that were actually other people's goals. Other people trying to encourage you, saying, oh, you've got these gifts and talents, you should do that, you ought to do that, you could do that. And none of them are really things that I wanted to do. So I'm having to reprocess that and just find a sense of why would I want to improve my keyboard skills, my vocals, why would I want to work on it? And then that will determine if I do any more with my music, and if I do decide to, then how and what I'm going to do. YouTube and social media is an interesting one because I think I had a bit of a motivation to work on it as a bit of a side hustle when I retire, but having had a look at all the finances, I realised no, I can just retire and relax. I'm in a very privileged position. But I think I still want to do it because it's quite a good way of keeping a record, which is why I started the channel in the first place. And also I think it's helpful to people when you share your experiences. I think people are interested, but I think they also benefit, so why not? But I've taken the pressure off myself to make it really professional with amazing thumbnails, and you know, any hints for improvements would be great in the comments below, but I'm just going to feel more relaxed about it and just take it easy. So that's a bit of an update on how I came to make the decision to retire, the current holiday phase that I'm going through at the moment where I'm reevaluating my aims and goals and just having fun. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's any aspects of retirement that you want me to chat about, then please put it in the comments below, and see you next time.